Welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. Do not forget to subscribe. So guys, the aim of this video is to do a full detail and ultimately get this ceramic coating MOHS on the car, which I believe can last 4 or 5 years on its own, which is quite impressive. Before we get to the stage where we're putting the coating down, we have to go through four steps in total. One, we must thoroughly wash the car, which we'll walk through in a second. If you don't do that properly, then all the following steps after that are compromised. We'll talk about that. Secondly, you then have to decontaminate your paintwork, because the paintwork will go rough, sticky, where it gets like tar, sap, adhesives, fallout primarily, stuff that you can't wash off the car. So we're going to go over the car with clay and do a chemical decontamination before that to make the clay more effective. After that, we're then ready to machine polish the car, which is the bit that I want to spend my time on. Do it once, do it properly. Once we've done all the polishing and we've got the paintwork to a good standard, then we want to kind of lock in the finish, if you like, put the protection on top of that, and hopefully not do this again for a long time, because it's a lot of work. And the idea is, when we put the ceramic coating on top, the final stage, the fourth stage, that's going to protect all of the hard work that we've put into the car. So step one, wash. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to soak out the lower panels on the car that have got a very heavy layer of road film with the Gyeon APC at around 1 to 5. That's going to soak into that dry dirt film and really break it down. That's going to take a second. We use a pump sprayer. Once we've done that, we put a layer of the Gyeon Foam over the entire car. That foam is going to keep the APC wet. It's also going to get into other areas of the car and clean out, give you free cleaning, if you like, where you haven't got to go in and contact it, where it just sits there and works on the dirt. Once that's had time to soak, you can then blast off with the pressure washer. We're going to do a thorough kind of pressure wash down because the car is so dirty. So it's really important to use the pressure washer as a tool to shift as much of that dirt prior to going in and making contact. So after the pre-wash, guys, we're going to go in and clean the filthy alloy wheels. Now, the pre-wash has done a pretty good job of getting all of that thick layer of heavy dirt off of those alloy wheels, and the alloy wheels are in quite good condition. After that, I'm going to be spraying them with the Gyeon fallout remover, which is a reactive fallout remover that you'll see turns purple. That purple reaction is it breaking down the surface, the Fe2O3, we struggle with that acronym, the rust layer in the embedded brake dust. So it dissolves that and then leaves you smaller particles of ferrous material, which are then easier to dislodge. So it makes cleaning your alloy wheel a lot easier, especially when you're deep cleaning, and it's a bit safer than using a strong acid, which works by shrinking the kind of embedded dirt, whereas this works by dissolving the rust layer. So there's a subtle difference. We're also using the Gyeon Tire cleaner and scrubbing that to give us a nice fresh rubber, because we're going to be using the Gyeon Tire product at the end to kind of really put a durable layer of protection on our rubber, tyres. The word was in there. What are we also doing? We're going to be putting the Gyeon APC back into the wheel arches and scrubbing out those wheel arches, just so we get the wheels to a good standard. The wheels are going to be coming off the car when you then get full access, and I can go and clean them before coating them with Gyeon rim, a ceramic coating as well. If you're going to go to the effort to put protection on your alloy wheels, then you're deep cleaning them, taking them off, then the best route is a ceramic, really, because sealants and waxes and stuff just don't have the durability, whereas the ceramic coatings, that material is going to be on there for a few years, and it just makes cleaning the alloy wheel a little bit easier. So after we've done all of that kind of pre-washing and now cleaning the alloy wheels, we move on to contact cleaning the car. So we fill up our bucket with the Gyeon Bathe shampoo, and we're using the Gyeon wash mitt and a hog's hair brush. Hog's hair brush is really important to get into all the little crevices that get really dirty. The crevices and grooves and recesses on the car actually kind of store dirt almost, and when you go over with the wash mitt, you can't always get in there. So I always like to have a wash mitt in one hand, and the Gyeon wash mitt is a nice soft cuffless microfiber with 2 different sides, so you can get into the paint a little bit more with the white side. The blue side's a little bit softer. but then the brush is handy to get into the crevices, all of the door seals, the front scuttles, the gaps around the headlights and the tail lights, etc, etc. All of the lower grills, they get, because they're at the front of the car, they get so much dirt going in, so you really need to get in there, disturb all that dirt with a brush to get it out. After the contact wash, we go and pressure wash down again, because we've lifted up a lot of dirt but we haven't removed it all, so that final pressure wash was good. And that final pressure wash also removes the shampoo, the detergents and the APCs that we've used on the car, so that at that stage, when we've done the final rinse after the contact, we're then going to bring the car inside, use the Gyeon silk dryer, which you just plop on the panels and just drag it over, and do that quite quickly to get, you know, 99% of the standing water off the car in 60 seconds, and then you can go back around the car and pop up the bonnet and work in the scuttle areas and the door cards and dry all that off in all the little places. You can, of course, use air. If you're going to use air, I would have the car outside, because if I'm blowing on the inside, all of the floor is dry and I'm going to be kicking up dust, which isn't good when you're going to be then going on to decontaminate. So always have a think about your process and just apply a little bit of common sense. So now we're at the stage where the car has been really carefully washed, and you know, there shouldn't be that much dirt on there. But of course we're going to get a light on the car now, and we'll get a gauge for how much contamination is on the car when we start stage 2. So stage 2, decontamination. We're going to be claying the car, but before we do that, guys, we're going to be doing a chemical decontamination. Why? It's going to help me do a better job and make the decontamination process perhaps more thorough and easier when I clay. So first up, I'm going to use Gyeon Tar, and we'll do a live demo on this if you like, guys. So you can see my car there has been washed and dried. This is a relegated ceramic coating applicator. You can see the strip of ceramic there that's hardened off. So I'm not going to use that side, but this side hasn't been used. So it's a good alternative use for these applicators. This product's really easy to use, guys. It's kind of water miscible, so you can wash it off the car afterwards or rinse it off. All you need to do is get it onto the panel. So let's spray it onto the panel. Spray a bit onto the microfiber applicator, and all I'm going to do is just make sure I've got a film of the product over the wing, and that film of product is sitting there right now, breaking down any kind of tar and glue deposits or anything that kind of needs to be dissolved with a solvent that's not washed off. So you can let that sit on the panel for a few minutes, and then you can just simply wipe it off with a clean microfiber towel. So what I'll do is I'll turn the camera off, come back in about another 2 minutes time, and then wipe down. The added bonus is that this is also going to help remove any old waxes and sealants that are on the car as well. So next up, guys, we're going to use the fallout remover, the Gyeon Iron. So we're going to demo it on this rear quarter panel. What this product is going to do is going to shrink the rust layer of any embedded kind of spikes of ferrous components that are stuck in the paintwork and give you that rough feel. It's going to remove some on its own, but it's also going to make the claying more efficient. So let's just see what you're seeing. So give it a little bottle of shake. I've got the clean Gyeon microfiber wash pad here. What I don't want to do is plaster the side of this in the product and then have it all running off the car or running down onto the wheels or going into the recesses where it can dwell. And these products don't smell particularly good. They're like a sort of sulfuric type of eggy smell. So you want to control where it goes. So I'm going to prime a little bit onto this wet pad, spray a little bit onto the panel, and then just cover that panel with a film of the product. And what you can see there is that that product is now not going to run. So it's just like a wet film of fallout remover. Now you leave that on the panel for 2 to 3 minutes. It's already starting to react with any ferrous components, and when you see purple, that means it is literally dissolving the rust out of those little spots of contamination. One key thing with this is don't let it dry on paintwork, so keep an eye on it. And then once you're ready to remove it, you could just rinse it off. Okay, so we're ready to start the claying process, guys. I'm going to be using the mild clay as opposed to the coarse one. Why? Well, a few things, guys. When you're decontaminating, doing the chemical decontamination, and after you've washed the car, you can get a feel for it. So this car had protection on it because I could see the water kind of peeling off it. It also didn't release like loads of purple material, so there wasn't a lot of embedded fallout on there. And there isn't a lot of like spots on the paint. So the paint doesn't feel silky smooth, but it also doesn't feel rough. So I think mainly the contamination level is quite low. If when you feel over the paintwork, you can feel lots of little bumps, and when you're doing the chemical decontamination with the Gyeon Iron, you see loads of purple bleeding out all over the car. And perhaps you look at the paintwork and you know you're going to be doing heavy cutting on it because it might have loads of swirling, then perhaps the more aggressive coarse option might be the best way to go. So it's more aggressive to take off more contamination easier, but the milder the clay, the finer the clay, the more appropriate it is, and the less kind of clay marring you're going to put into the paint surface that you polish it out. So you've got a whole spectrum of possibilities. That's why these different ranges exist. And you've got a whole spectrum of possibilities on the level of kind of defects in your car as well, and what you're going to be doing with the machine polishing process. So next up, guys, alloy wheels. So it's a bit of a pain taking all the alloy wheels off of your car. So if you're going to do it, you want to put a protection on there that's going to give you more than like a sealant or a wax. So we're using the Gyeon Rim ceramic coating, which is nice and hydrophobic. It's going to last probably a couple of years on there if I maintain it. That's the key. Don't let it just build up with months and months of dirt and grime whizzing around. Try and keep it clean, clean it off and clean it gently. Top it up with a little bit of Gyeon wet coat, all that sort of stuff. In the wheel arches, we're going to be using the Gyeon Preserve, which is like a trim dressing. The arches in this car now, a 20-year-old car, if they were brand new, then they're ripe for protecting with a trim ceramic coating. But this is really just going to enhance them, maybe make them a bit more hydrophobic, make the dirt fall off for a little while. And I'll probably need to use the Preserve more regularly than I would if I was using the trim ceramic coating. Anyway, you get the idea. A little bit with taking the wheels off of your car. Always be careful. I just wrap a little bit of tape around the socket so that you don't scratch the edge when you're taking the bolts off. If you lift the car up too high and then you pull the alloy wheel off, it will drop and it can fall then on the heat shields and the brake discs and then scratch your alloy, which is something that happens really commonly. So just jack it to the point where it just starts to lift. Then when you take it off, it's not going to drop down. So that's a really important tip, because it's so easy to damage your alloys when you take them off of the car. After we put the coating on, which is a pretty straightforward thing to do, the better the condition of the alloys, the more benefit you get from the coating, I think, and the easier it is to do. If you've got a rotten set of alloys where the paint's peeling off, then get them refurbished before you have it coated. Once I've coated the alloys, I'll give it an hour or so to get like a 90 or 95% cure. Then I'll put them back on the car, then go and jack up the other side and do those two on the other side. That's how I work, because I've got two jacks. The car can stay in the garage it's going to be in here for at least another week, so that coating will fully cure off. What else do I need to say? When you're putting the alloy wheels back on, use a torque wrench and make sure you torque them up to the correct torque. Okay guys, we're ready to polish the car. I've done a quick paint depth gauge survey of the car to make sure there's no low areas that I need to be aware of. Doesn't look like this car's been buffed on before, and the bonnet and the bumper have been painted, so there should be plenty of clear coat there. What's my approach? Well, I'm going to try and minimise the amount of cutting sets I have to do. Ideally, I want to go in and do one cutting set, because it's going to take ages if I have to do more than one. So I'm going to be using the Compound Plus with the Foam Extra Cut purple pad from Gyeon. And after I've cut and I'm happy that I've taken out all the swirls, really then we just want to refine and gloss up and spend probably an equal amount of time polishing it. And we're going to use the Gyeon primer on a soft polishing pad. Might use the blue pad, might use the white pad. Probably go with the white pad for just glossing up. And I'm going to do a test set here on this rear quarter panel that you can see is, it's got the clay marring on it and it just needs that cut and finish, and then I'll show you the results afterwards. Just pressure it in a little bit. And that's it. That feels amazing. Yeah, it's such a nice feeling. These polish cloths are good. You've got the right tools. Everything goes well. So now, let's just come back here. Oh no, I'd be out of focus with that shot, wouldn't I? So there, we're on the clear coat, and that just is what I want. That's it. You got the fleck, you know, we're not covered in swirls anymore. And then before, we're like, ah! So cut and finish is going to do wonders to this car. I'm really pleased. And also, once you've done your test set, let's just keep the focus. Once you've done your test set and it works, you know you're really going to be in good stead with that all over the car. So that's great. So now we're on the home straight. We've finished doing our cut and finish on the car, and we're getting on to the coating phase now. Before I coat the car, I want to take one polish wipe that I've kept aside, and I'm going to go around the car with this completely clean towel and just give it a final buff over to make sure that if I've got any little bits of polish that I've missed around the edges or anything like that, I remove that. If I do find any of that, I can use a little bit of Gyeon Prep, but essentially I haven't got to do a full panel wipe down degrease of the car because we've used the Gyeon primer. I'll also use my torch because that will help me spot any of the little bits of polish that I may have missed. After we've done that, we're then going to apply the coating. Now, I've chosen to use Gyeon MOHS, and I've tested every single Gyeon ceramic coating. And there's going to be different ones for different people. You can start at the entry level kind of can coat, which is almost like a lightweight ceramic. You can move up to Gyeon 1, you know, which is an entry level ceramic if you like. And then you can go to like Gyeon Pure, which then starts giving you some real performance. You could then go on to Gyeon MOHS, and they even have a synchro kit that comes with a topper coat that you could put over the top of it. But I found that the Gyeon MOHS on its own gives you everything you need. It's kind of hydrophobic, it's very easy to apply, and I'll maintain the coating with kind of like spray-on products like Cure and Wet Coat and things like that. So I've gone for Gyeon MOHS. Ease of application is really important. It's something that you want, something that's smooth and not sticky when you're buffing off the coating. Everything you need comes in the box. You've got the coating itself, you've got an applicator, you've got instructions, you've even got like stickers so you can put them on your car with put the date on them so you know when you've applied it. And you get this product here called Gyeon Cure. Now Gyeon Cure, once the coating has had a chance to cure and harden on the panel, Gyeon advise that you really don't wash your car for you know, a week or two, because if you allow any kind of water to dry on the car, especially if it's tap water, the mineral deposits in it can leave spots and the coating is exposed to those. So when you finish applying the coating, you can spray a little layer of Cure over it, buff it all out, and then you've got a sort of sacrificial layer that's sitting on top of the coating while it's curing off and reaching that full cure where it's not vulnerable to getting water spotting. So it's important to use the Gyeon Cure. If you're lucky like me and you've got a garage, you've got the option of then coating it and not using the car for ages, but you might as well use it because you get it. So then you can, after you've applied it, you can actually use the car, you know, which is what it's all about. So then it's the installation of the MOHS ceramic coating, guys. Now this bit is actually quite easy. They're probably easier to install than a wax. It's just that preparation that you have to do very carefully. So what we're going to do is shake up the bottle, follow the instructions, but essentially load up our applicator, wet it out a little bit with the liquid, work panel by panel, and then the tip that Steve gave me is just to get the coating over your target panel that you're working on. So we'll demo it on the wing. Get the coating on there nice and quickly, get it all covered up to the edges, and then watch the coating for signs of the flash. The coating will start to bond literally seconds after it hits the surface. When you get signs of a flash, and that might either be some like sweating, or it might be like a rainbow sign, but as you start to see that coating flash, you're then ready to buff. So typically you can wait like 30 to 60 seconds, depends on the humidity and temperature, so you just keep an eye on it. What you don't want to do is layer it on thick and then go away and come back. That would be an absolute disaster. So wait there, observe it, and then buff within the time frame specified by Gyeon. Now, to buff the coatings, I've kept back these bald wipes. Why? We're not taking off loads of residue, or residue which is hard to remove. It's going to be relatively unset at that point, so a bald wipe is just going to go over the panel nice and smooth. One top tip that Steve gave me is, after you've kind of used a towel, you've got all that ceramic material in there and it's going to build up the more you use that side. So flipping very often, you know, and then using all 8 sides and then changing towels reduces the risk of you kind of leaving excess coating on the car where you get like a high spot or something like that. So in theory, you just got to be careful to make sure you buff everywhere. And then once I've used the bald wipe to get off most of the coating, I've kept back a couple of soft wipes where I can just do a final buff over that panel with another fresh one, just to make sure that I've got that desired finish. And then you are home and dry, really, and you move on to the section. So we're going to work section by section. What is a section? Well, a wing is a section, a door is a section, a rear quarter is a section, half of the roof is a section, half of the bonnet is a good section. So the more coatings you do, the quicker you get at applying it. You don't want to rush, but you also don't want to be too cautious, especially when you're spreading the product. Get it on there is the top tip. So I'm through to the final few jobs now. First off, I'm going to use the Gyeon Preserve to dress any exterior plastics that are looking a bit tired, like the front grille pieces of the 911 here, and that lower part of the bumper, which is a bare plastic, and also the surrounds of the wing mirrors are looking a bit kind of faded and not black. So I'm just going to put some of this on to revive the finish and provide a little bit of protection. And after that, guys, I'm going to be applying Gyeon Quick View to the front windscreen of my car. Now, this is not a glass protector. It's a hydrophobic kind of layer over the front windscreen. That means when it's raining, the water's not going to want to film and stick to the glass. It's going to want to flick off, which should give me better visibility. I've done full pep on the glass, and then I'm just going to spread this over the surface and then remove it following the instructions. After that, I'm virtually done. The last job is to wait for the coating to cure for a while and then put that sacrificial layer of Gyeon Cure on it, and I've finished. So guys, the detail is finished. So we've done the interior in the previous video. We've now done the exterior, and I feel like going through and detailing this car really allows me to get to know this 996, get into every nook and cranny, see what can be improved, see what can be detailed, see what can be protected, see what can be enhanced, all those good things. I always like to say at the end of the video, it can look like you're taking a car and perfecting it when you're detailing. We haven't. What we've done is we've put this car through a process, and that process is to do a cutting set on the paintwork, do a finishing set on the paintwork, and that takes very kind of hazy, tired clear coat back to a really nice black, glossy finish. But where this car's been kind of resprayed, there's prep marks in there that I can't really do too much about. There's also some deep scratches around there that you cannot really take out without risks. And watch the channel to see some other videos on discussions around things like that. But all in all, I'm really happy that the car now is looking so good, so glossy, and it's protected. And I'm going to now go ahead and kind of maintain it with things like Cure, ceramic detailer from Gyeon, Gyeon wet coat, and they will enable me to just keep that sort of buzzing hydrophobicity, you know, and help protect the coating underneath as well, and stop the coating kind of getting buried as I kind of use the car over the next, you know, years and years. So really enjoyable. Is there anything here that you should be scared of or worried about? No, not really. You can use all of these Gyeon products very easily. All of the wash products are friendly and safe. All of the decontamination products are friendly and safe. If you're not comfortable with machine polishing, then you could just decontaminate your car. You could even go over it by hand with Gyeon Prime and then put can coat on, or Gyeon wax, if you've never used a ceramic coating before. But if you own a machine polisher and you're comfortable polishing your car, it's very easy to polish it, finish it out with Prime. You haven't got to degrease. If you want to put the coating on that same day, just give it an hour or so and go over with the Gyeon prep. If you don't, you can just leave it 24 hours if you've got a garage, then come back and coat, which is fantastic. And I think part of doing the job properly is having the right tools for the job. So I just want to say a huge thank you to Gyeon, one of my favourite brands, for sponsoring this video and getting my 996 Carrera 991 C4s looking how I really wanted it to look from when I bought it. And now it's all about enjoying the car and maintaining it, which is going to be fantastic. So take care. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon on Forensics Detailing.
Holding on to what I knew, but the moment's gone. Where was I when